Evening, guys. Hi, hope everybody's doing really well. Rob back just for another fairly quick video. Hope this is going to be quick anyway. Yeah, hope everybody's doing really well out there. Had a great bank holiday. Obviously coming to the weekend now. Apparently the weather's going to be really nice here in the UK. So yeah, looking forward to that. Okay, and yeah, this is just an extension of an idea that I had probably after doing a response to James Griffith's last video, Turn It Up, where I alluded to talking about tracks that run into one another, or what are known as segues, technically speaking. Okay, so what is a segue? Okay, well, a segue, according to the dictionary, is a movement without interruption from one piece of music to another. Okay, so yeah, obviously just songs that run into other songs, basically, and there's no kind of interruption whatsoever. Of the transition from one track to another. Okay, so yeah, I'm sure we all knew that anyway, so didn't need to kind of be condescending and teach you all to suck eggs, but there you go. Just wanted to obviously put this in some kind of context. So okay, so yeah, I've basically on that on that note, I've put together a list of I've got 6 records to show, or 6 pairs of songs from 6 different records that I think are classic examples of a segue, and particularly segues that I really like. So yeah, none of these are anything obscure or rare, weird, whatever. They're all kind of fairly common records. I think at least a couple of them I've shown in my videos in the past anyway. So, but yeah, I'm just going to jump straight into it anyway. So, okay, so the first one is a record that I showed in my last video, Turn It Up Loud, which is this one. Wonderful Queen's second album, of course, and I was talking about the track Father to Son, or more importantly, Procession, and then Father to Son. But there's the segue that I'm talking about here, because it's a kind of continuation, really, of that. Is when you get to the end of Father to Son, which is the second track, there's this wonderful, it's sort of Father to Son kind of fades out very slowly, like kind of the volume control or the level record being turned down really slowly, and the dBs, whatever you want to call it, and then it kind of rolls into White Queen, with this beautiful sort of acoustic guitar motif from Brian May, and it's just really beautiful, the way that it segues and moves from one track to another. It's like a medley almost, I guess. So obviously I'm trying to avoid medleys in this, because I know James has done I think 1 or 2 others have done videos on medleys before, so obviously this isn't going to be focusing on those, but yeah. So anyway, that's a really in my opinion, a beautiful transition from one track into another without interruption. So that's Father to Son into White Queen. Okay, the next one, released just before that album, really common album, but a classic in his canon, possibly the greatest album that he ever recorded. This is the wonderful Yellow Brick Road from, of course, Elton John, 1973. Yeah, the track that I'm alluding to here is the wonderful opening instrumental, Funeral for a Friend, which is fantastic instrumental in its own right. But the way it ends and then the just continues into Love Lies Bleeding with the just the piano playing is just fantastic. And yeah, just a perfect segue, in my opinion. A seamless transition from one fantastic song into another. So yeah, that's old Elton and Funeral for a Friend into Love Lies Bleeding. Okay, the next one, a little bit of a, I wouldn't say controversial, but it's kind of more of a kind of an immediate transition rather than a kind of faded segue or a fade in the traditional sense. And there's plenty of examples on this album, but I'm going to just pick one in particular. So this is, of course, the Beatles' White Album. Yeah, lots of tracks, particularly the way this is typical of the way this album is sequenced, with tracks running into one another, helter-skelter, no pun intended, in quick succession. But the one that I really like is right at the start. So you got obviously the wonderful Boolean upbeat rocker back in the USSR, and then that fantastic just as the kind of the wheels of the jet are kind of landing, you then hear that lovely arpeggiated acoustic guitar playing of John Lennon as it goes into Dear Prudence. Really fantastic stuff. And I was watching actually a video on YouTube the other night of a band that I can't remember what they're called now, but they do they basically they're a classic Beatles covers band, but they just do it absolutely perfectly, and they do a version of the White Album, just like completely from beginning to end. Just close your eyes and it's virtually just sounds exactly the same. Obviously the vocals are a bit of a betray the fact that it's not the Beatles, but despite obviously they're playing on stage as well. So yeah, it's a wonderful listen and a really faithful version of modern representation of the White Album. So, you know, fantastic. And I apologise, I can't remember the name of the group that did that. I'm sure there'll be one or two of you who will put it in the comments. Okay, next one is another classic from the 60s. This is 1968. So I think this is arguably probably their most popular album, or certainly the one that gets shown the most here on the VC. This is the Moody Blues and In Search of the Lost Chord. Yeah, so the segue I'm alluding to here is the wonderful opener, Departure, which I think is Graham Edge with his kind of poetry that he does a lot of, particularly on the early Moody's albums. And then it kind of, you've got this kind of sort of early sort of synth sound with it kind of cranking up and getting louder and louder, and then this kind of maniacal laughter, and then it just kind of literally just explodes into Ride My Seesaw. And it's yeah, it's fantastic, and I just think one of the best not only the best segues, one of the best intros to an album ever, I think. So yeah, so that's Departure and Ride My Seesaw from In Search of the Lost Chord. Okay, two more now. This one could quite easily have been my favourite segue of all time, and a real favourite of mine anyway. I love this album. It's an album that doesn't get much love. In fact, the band itself doesn't get an awful lot of love on the VC, but they're a kind of classic UK sort of folk prog band from the 70s, 80s. I think the two main songwriters, for legal reasons, actually tour as two separate bands now. It's John Lees and Les Holroyd. But this is the wonderful Barclay James Harvest, and this is their 1977 album Gone to Earth. And yeah, I mean, this is a fantastic record. Very much very much kind of after they sort of became, I think they probably refined their sound and became a little bit more kind of polished after kind of October on and so on. But yeah, I just love the songwriting on this album. I think the songs are excellent. Yeah, obviously you've got the classic Poor Man's Moody Blues on this record. Interesting segue in itself from the last record I showed. Where obviously John Lees was a kind of a sort of shot back at the critics who were saying that they were just a poor man's Moody Blues. So, and obviously wrote that song in hitting back as the only way he felt that he could. Despite the two songs which this album is famous for, which is Him and Poor Man's Moody Blues, I love the second side, and particularly the opening two tracks, Hard-Hearted Woman, and particularly the segue that goes into the wonderful Stuart Wolstenholme song, which is Sea of Tranquility, which is probably my favourite Barclay James Harvest song, full stop. I mean, it just comes in with this beautiful organ that just gives it a real otherworldly kind of ethereal sound. Wonderful kind of classical melody. Wonderful, absolutely fantastic song by any reckoning, I think. Really, really wonderful. And just a beautiful transition segue from the one track into the other. I think it's really beautiful. So that's Barclay James Harvest and Gone to Earth. Okay, and the last one is a favourite album, certainly by this group. I've showed this album a few times. Really, really like it. There's not a bad moment on here as far as I'm concerned. A lot of people usually opt for Bridge Over Troubled Water, but for me, this is the zenith of their partnership and some of Paul Simon's best songwriting. This is Bookends, a wonderful album from 1968. So obviously you've got the Bookends theme, which bookends the first side as the opening track, and the last track on the first side. But for me, the wonderful segue on this is from the second song, Save the Life of My Child, and just the beautiful harmonied humming vocals and the guitar that just kind of is just beautifully mixed in of America. Absolutely wonderful. And just like absolutely not only probably my favorite Simon & Garfunkel song, but my favorite certainly one of my favourite segues anyway, and definite highlight of this wonderful record. Okay, so that's it, guys. So if anybody wants to or could be bothered to jump on this this thread, I don't know whether it will become a thread. I guess it's only a thread if people jump on it, but if you want to, please be my guest. If you don't, that's absolutely fine as well. So yeah, as I say, hopefully I'll be back fairly soon with a finds video. I have bought one or two things, but not really enough to warrant doing a video. Yeah, going this weekend to pick up, well, tomorrow actually, I'm going down to Somerset to pick up some mini discs and a mini disc player. I've already bought one, but this is like a portable one, but it comes with a lot of blank mini discs, and it's for a really good price. So a bit of a day out as well. So hopefully, I think the weather's going to be quite decent this weekend. So whatever you're doing anyway, guys, hope you enjoy it. Hope everybody's keeping really, really well, of course, because that's the most important thing. And yeah, I'll see you all hopefully again soon. Cheers all. Take care. Bye-bye.